All right, step one. This is the lower table. That'll have the two ramps coming up and then down. And so this is installing the lower legs. Each of the legs have a label on them. So this is like front left, and it's left when you think it's right because it's actually when it's flipped over the other way. But so find the leg with the FL, and that'll go right here with the FL, and then that'll work all the way around with the BL and BR and FR. So install those. The bolts should be just the normal 3.5 inch bolts, and they should be already just still here. If they're not, there'll be extra ones in the bin. So check that out. I'll show you when it's done. So the bolt goes in. It's got a bolt with a washer, and then on the other side, it's also got a washer and then a wing nut, and then just tighten the wing nut down. It doesn't have to be super, super tight, but just tight enough so it's not too wobbly. All right, so there you can see all the legs are on. They're just hand tightened, they're not super tight. Now watch, I'm super magic because it's gonna flip over by itself. Ready, set, go. Bam, there it is. All right, so it's flipped over, and you can then we'll build the upper table. All right, so this is the upper table. It's got to be flipped over to put the legs on, but you're going to have legs on. One of the legs also has a door on it, and so you'll have to put that on when you do it. This is definitely a two-person job to flip this table over once you've got it all done. So those are kind of the legs. They'll have the same thing with the letters, and I'll show you that when we have it flipped over. All right, so we're going to put the back legs on, this set of two legs together. We're going to put them here on the back. So take the wing nuts and the washers off, so you just have the bolts sticking through, and then you're going to take those bolts and all four together. You're going to put them through those holes and then put the wing nuts on. All right, when you're done with this step, the back and back should be facing each other like that. Bolts are through, and then you've got the wing nuts are just hand tightened. And again, remember, when you take these things apart, leave the bolts in so that you don't lose them. These again are the standard. I think they're the 3.5 inch bolts, and they're the smallest of the sets. There's a few bolts that are a little bit bigger. All right, next we're going to do the door. So we've got this door piece, and this is the down at the bottom. This is what's touching the ground, and then this is what's connected in. So, all right, so that's hooked on, put in there, hand tightened, and this has got the door. So if we look at it, right, you've got this door that will later be used to open and close and be able to get into the bottom. So we have that one done. All right, so this is I've got it labeled TFR, that's tall front right, and so it just goes on same way that all the other legs go on. Just put that on. All right, now we're going to connect up the center where the hinge is, because this table, because it's set up, it'll actually hinge across this center piece, and we need to bolt that together. So here's the steps for that. All right, so now we're going to put the middle legs on. How this works is there's two holes in the center that you're going to take the normal 3.5 inch, and you're just going to bolt those together that way. And then your legs, you're going to take the left middle, and that's going to go on like that with this little edge facing out, facing outwards. To where you're bolting on. Later you're going to put a panel onto this. All right, so we'll look at that when we get done. All right, so there's we bolted the center pieces together there, and I bolted the left middle, right? And you notice these are longer bolts. These are like maybe 6 inch ones, because they have to go through three pieces of 2x4. All right, so we've got the all the legs on the tall table all done. So now this is where you need to have a friend help you flip over this table. All right, so there's the table flipped over, and if we're looking at it, this should be the front. And so we've got the tall table and the short table. And the way you organize these is it roughly put these two corners, this corner and this corner, roughly put those two corners to kind of together. So they're angled, they look about like that. And then as you put the ramps on, you'll be able to adjust it a little bit more. So we're gonna do the ramps next. Now that we've got the all the legs and the tables and everything set up, we're gonna put the ramps on. So this ramp is the front ramp, and you'll just take that and line it up so the holes line up, and then these bolts will go through. This one is the down ramp. It's the one with the straight lines on it, and same thing, you just line up those holes. But what you want to do is you want to actually put this middle ramp up first, because that'll actually align all the tables. And the easiest way to do that is to take the one set of bolts here, and these are again just the standard little 4-inch, the small 3-inch bolts. Put them in, and then take that and stick this into the table and put it into the holes first, and then do the top side. So hang on, and I'll do that. Like I said, the easiest way is to just take those bolts, get them all the way through the ramp, and then starting into the holes, and then just be able to push this down, and they'll go in. So now that's lined up, and then you might have to adjust the top or the bottom table to line it up so that these holes line up with those holes. All right, so I just kind of shifted the bottom table and the top table and got it so that this hole, and you can't really see it, but if you look here, you can actually see a little bit of daylight through there, and so you've got them aligned up. And then once you have them aligned up, then you'll want to take your regular 3.5-inch bolts, the smaller of the bolts, and get it in there. And it goes in. And there's a little bit of gap here. That's because you're going to have a panel, a little piece of panel going in there to protect the robots from falling through the holes. Anyway, I'm going to set up all the rest of the ramps, and we'll show you when it's all done. All right, so there we have the ramps up. We've got those bolts down through, and then the washer and the wing nut screwed up onto the bottom, doing those. This ramp here sometimes is a little bit tight to get in because it feels like this leg is there. Just kind of knock this leg back a little bit and just line it, and it'll fit. Sometimes these bolts are going to be a little bit tight, and so you might actually need, and I provided a wrench, and you can actually just screw them on down to get them to go in all the way. And so once you have that, and then you put the wing nuts on the backside and just kind of hand tighten it, it should be all good. So that's the way the ramps go. All right, next we're going to put up the siding on the tops of the tables, and then the siding on the sides of the tables. All right, so stay tuned. All right, let's talk about these top panels. Basically, we've got these panels that we've got them labeled. So we've got labeled A, and this panel is going to line up here on the edge, and you'll put a bolt down through these holes to stand that up. So that way the robots don't drive off the side of the table. And this will just go around. So we got A, B, C, right? C, D, and then over here we've got an E, F, G, and then I think this is I, and then we'll have actually one that'll go on the edge of this one. So there'll still be a little bit of hazard, right? They could potentially drive off the side over here if they're not careful. So they still have to be careful, but this basically keeps their robots on the platform in a way that they do. And then once we've got those up, I'll show you them all standing up, and then we'll go and put on the panels on the sides, the bottom sides, next. All right, now a quick word on the setup. Usually when you have these panels, say like the A panel, you'll actually have the bolts already like left there. So when you take it apart, just put the bolts back into and screw them on, and then screw the wing nuts on quite a bit, right? Have them on more than halfway so they don't get lost. But then that way when you go to set up, you can just go ahead and take the wing nuts off real quick, and the washer off real quick, right? Get that washer off, right? And now you've got that nut will go in there, that bolt will go in there, and those are going to stick out down underneath, and you'll be able to then screw those on. All right, so we got all the side panels up. So on this side's a hazard, right? This side they're safe. They'll drive up. You got this panel is up. These panels are up. So you can see that this kind of boxes in. The one thing I was going to maybe do was actually put one more piece in here to separate this side, so I have to go around. So I don't have that yet. So I don't know. You can put a piece of PVC or a piece of board down just to block it or somewhere. All right, so that's the side panels. They're all on there. Those are actually a little bit longer bolts. They're not the 3-inch ones. They're I think the 4.5. But you'll just bolt them all from underneath there. Now, next we're going to put on the side panels real quick, and I'll show you that. All right, so there's side panels. And so how the side panels is, they just cover up the side. And so, they just go on, and then there's, the holes right there, and they'll just line up the holes, and you'll put a bolt right through there, and that panel will be on. So you've got the side one here, the side back right, or side back ramp. You've got this front one that's front, and you got this one which is side, right? And so I'm not going to actually put those in, but they just use the standard 3.5 inch bolts to put in there. And this one's maybe a little trickier, where you'll get them in there, and you can probably put two of the side ones on, but then this front one maybe is a little trickier. And what you do is you have someone small open up the door, right? Open up the door and crawl inside and screw them in. Make sure they're tight, right? You can do that for all of them. Anyway, that's it. That's the setup. So as far as the mailboxes go, you can put them different places. So this one is the tall one, and it does go right here on the small ramp, and you just line it up in here, maybe an inch or so onto the frame there, and adjust that. There's a PVC PVC 12-foot piece that goes around this, and that'll actually go right down the edges. I think I'll show you that setup in just a second. But as far as the mailboxes go, they kind of can go pretty much anywhere. My expectation is you put one over there on the small ramp, you put something up on the top here, so they have to come up top, and you put one maybe just right here on the side, face it one way or the other, a relation to the doorway, which is going to be like right here. When you see the PVC laid down, you'll see the doorways right here. They drive in, and then they just start to siding. You could put another one down the side over here. I would tend to not put a mailbox inside, but you could put a cube inside, and then they just open up the door and go on inside to look for something inside the side piece. Anyway, all right. I think that's it. I might have one more little video just to kind of finish up as we take this thing apart, and if you got any questions, you can certainly send them to me, Jim Burnham at jim.burnham@gmail.com, or call me on my cell, 408-603-0925. Thanks, bye. All right, so now that it's all put together, one of the things that you'll want to do is actually just tighten up all the legs. One of the things you'll notice sometimes is that the door, is not quite even, right? And if this leg over here is kicked out a little bit, then this door is not even, right? So just make sure the legs are tight and even, and by kicking in this leg a little bit, tighten it up tight, then that door will be even there, right? Make sure it's on the outside. If it catches on this other panel, make sure it's on the outside of that panel. I am going to include a square, so you can use this square to actually see if your legs are square, and that'll help you get them aligned right when you set up the tables. But just tighten everything up now. Once you've got it all put together, just tighten everything up tight and have fun.